Welcome, everybody. I am Day Wilson. I am the co-founder, along with Robin Jaffin, of FODMAP Everyday. Robin is going to be handling the tech in the background. And we're very excited. We like to bring you these webinars because we find that they're very helpful to our community. We love the feedback. And if you have ideas for more webinars, let us know. We have a wonderful team of what we call our success team of dietitians. We have loads of topics that we can address. But today, we're talking about digestive enzymes, and we have Iris Wierda with us from Intoleran, and they have a whole host of digestive enzyme products that can help you from a FODMAP perspective and beyond. And I know that a lot of you have questions about how these digestive enzymes might be able to help you with your IBS journey, with your low FODMAP journey. So with no further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Iris, and we're going to get started. Please do keep yourself muted and add questions to the chat below, and we will get to them. Well, Iris, thank you so much for doing this.
Yes, thank you, Didi. Very excited to be here and to let you guys know everything about digestive enzymes and about intolerance. So I'm going to share my screen now and then we can get started. So let's see, and hopefully everybody can see my presentation now.
Looks good.
Okay, great. So let's get started. My name is Iris Wierda, and I am a dietitian and a FODMAP and food intolerance specialist. As you probably can hear from my accent, I am not from the United States, but I am from Europe and from the Netherlands, actually. So perhaps you know Amsterdam, that's a bit where I am from. And I work at a company called Intoleran, and with Intoleran, we actually make supplements for digestion and gut support, and a lot of our supplements are with digestive enzymes. And I think the most important thing is our mission since 2008 is enjoy food again. So we want everyone with food intolerances, with digestive problems, with gut problems to just enjoy food again. And for me as a dietitian, I think that's very important because, of course, we need to have a healthy diet, but we also need to enjoy our food a bit. So we are a Dutch company based in the Netherlands, but we do sell worldwide. So I saw in the chat earlier also some people from Europe, from Canada. We do sell worldwide. And we are with a team of digestive experts. So I am a dietitian at Intolerant, but we do have 4 other dietitians in our team. So for now, I would like to start with the basics of digestion. So here you see a visual with the basics of digestion. Let's just go through it. The digestion starts in the mouth. Here you will chew your food, it will get mixed up with saliva, and that's actually the beginning. Then via the esophagus, it will go in your stomach, and in your stomach, the food will combine with stomach acid, and afterwards, it will go to your small intestine. And the small intestine is actually one of the most important parts of digestion because in our small intestine, we will make our digestive enzymes. And here, the digestive enzymes will do most of the work, so they will cut our food into smaller particles. And I always like to explain this as cutting it up with scissors. So the digestive enzymes are like scissors which can cut up your food into smaller pieces, and in this way, you are able to digest the food properly. Some foods cannot be digested, like some fibers. They need to go right to the colon, and then they will be fermented by our gut bacteria. But those are like the basic, most important steps of digestion. And in this matter, I would like to explain a bit more about digestive enzymes. So digestive enzymes, I can imagine it's a kind of a vague term or a vague word. What are digestive enzymes and what do they do? Well, digestive enzymes are actually special proteins, and they work according the lock and key principle, is how we call it often. So this actually means that one specific digestive enzyme only fits onto one specific nutrient. For example, the lactase enzyme only fits on lactose, the nutrient, and then it will cut up the lactose into smaller particles you can digest. So that's basically how all digestive enzymes work. They would just cut up the food into smaller pieces. And what we see in practice is that enzyme deficiencies, so if you don't make enough of enzymes, this can lead to food intolerances. Um, and you can use digestive enzymes as a supplement. And I think it's very good to know that the digestive enzymes we use as a supplement are identical to your body's own enzymes. And they are primarily derived from plant sources, and it's also good to know they are safe for long-term use. So you can use them. They are scientifically backed, so you can use them on the long term. And you can also use them every day if you want. We often get questions from people like, can I use them every day, or do my bowels get lazy if I use them every day? Well, that's not true. You can use them every day, and the digestive enzymes are really meant to supplement your own enzymes. So if you use digestive enzymes as a supplement, it won't mean that you don't produce any digestive enzymes of your own anymore. It will just supplement because you probably don't make enough. So I think that's really good to know. If there are now not any questions, I will just go on with the
I'd
food.
just like to point something out. So, many people here are following the low FODMAP diet. So we just do want to make a specific statement, right? That, as you said, they're safe to use every day. But as a dietitian, I'm sure you'll get to the point where you'll help us understand how you might not want to take them during the elimination and challenge phases of the diet because they would be contraindicated at that point.
Yeah, that's a really good one indeed. If you do the FODMAP diet, of course, then you'll see if you react to specific nutrients, like for example lactose. So you won't eat lactose, and then you will slowly eat a bit of lactose and see if you react. And the enzyme will help you digest lactose. So if you eat lactose, but you also take the lactase enzyme, then you won't have any symptoms because the enzyme does the work for you. So if you are really trying to get to know if lactose, for example, is a problem or any other of the FODMAPs, then I won't advise to take them at the same moment. I would rather say if you know you're reacting to lactose, then you can use them if you go out for dinner, or if you are in a place somewhere where you can't eliminate lactose from the diet. If that makes sense.
Thank you.
Now we'll go on. So here you see some of the common food intolerances. This is our food wheel, and we have some food groups here. We see a lot of people react to these food groups. And I think most of you know that the carbohydrate intolerances, so the FODMAPs, are most common. We don't have the polyols here, one of the FODMAPs, but this is also a food group people do react to. And we see that enzyme deficiencies often cause problems with these FODMAPs. So we here see the lactose, the fructose, the oligosaccharide group, so the fructans and the GOS. These, I think, if people react to food, like 80% of the people will react to the FODMAPs. But we do see some people who can also react to other food groups. For example, the sucrose and the starch. Also carbohydrates, but not theoretically in the FODMAP. But we do see some people reacting to sucrose and starch, and most of these people have sucrase isomerase deficiency, also known as SID. And this is actually when you don't make enough of the enzymes which can break down sucrose and starch. Um, we do sometimes see people with histamine intolerance. Histamine is not one of the carbohydrates, it's actually a type of protein. But sometimes histamine is a problem for people. They don't make enough of the DHO enzyme, and the DHO enzyme is in our gut and will break down histamine there. So in this case, people do react to histamine. And I've also added two other food groups here, the fats and proteins. Sometimes people react to really fatty foods or foods high in protein. I won't go any deeper in this presentation on histamine or fats or proteins, because if I want to talk about that, then I can talk for some extra hours. So I would like to keep it with the carbohydrates, but it's good to know that we are currently developing two new products with digestive enzymes for fats and for proteins. So they will be live on our website, I think, in a few weeks, actually. So if you're interested in that, then check out our website in the next.
And just to point out, one of the reasons we were so excited about doing this is because even though we're focusing on FODMAPs today, you did mention the histamine and also the SID. So just so
Mhm.
everybody knows, Intoleran does now have products
Yeah.
addressing these issues. So, you know, in terms of investigating the brand beyond FODMAPs, and it's about 36 or 37% of those with IBS have additional digestive issues. So, you know, you very well could need a digestive enzyme beyond the FODMAP ones that we're concentrating on.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. So let's dive a little bit deeper in the enzyme supplements. So I will now go through some enzyme supplements, and please let me know if you have any questions. So let's start with lactase supplements. So this is for the food group lactose, which are products mainly with dairy. And we do see a lot of people reacting to lactose. So we have some different products for lactose intolerance, and they all contain the lactase enzyme, but just in different dosages. And it's good to know that lactase helps to digest lactose from food, and this will help reduce gas and bloating associated with digesting dairy. So we have tablets, we have capsules. You can easily twist open the capsules, and we have some smaller tablets, which are really easy to swallow in a bit lower dosage. And we also have them in the drop form, so it's like a fluid. They're just loose drops, and you can put them in your milk, or you can use them to, if you're cooking or baking or anything, make your own lactose-free milk. Yep.
How do you decide, where would someone decide the dosage? So let's say they've gone through the challenges, they know that they don't digest lactose well, but so where should they start if they want to try one of the enzymes?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I often say just start with one of the highest dosages. And this is because it won't hurt to have a bit of a higher dosage, and you probably need less. If you, for example, take the lactase 20,000, those are the tablets you see at the left bottom. One tablet contains 20,000 FCC of the lactase enzyme. You will probably need one, and you can digest a lot of lactose. And if you, for example, take the lactase 2500, you will perhaps need four tablets to have the same idea. So I will just always, I would advise to start a little bit higher. And in that way, you can make sure that it's lactose. You are sure it's lactose intolerance, because otherwise it won't help with reducing your like gas and bloating and your complaints. And if you know, okay, I have one of the lactase 20,000 tablets, it works really well. Perhaps next time with a meal, I can take half a tablet, or I can take a capsule or a lower dose. So
And
that's
you mentioned being able to open the capsule. Why would someone do that? I mean, they have a handy little capsule, so.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we do sometimes see people who have trouble swallowing capsules. They don't like it or they just can't. So in that way, they can just open up the capsule and just put it in their water. It doesn't taste like anything, or just put it through the food or anything, and it will work the same actually.
That's fantastic.
Okay, then I will go on to our product fructase. So fructase contains the enzyme Xylose isomerase. That's not something you need to remember, but what you do need to remember is it helps digesting fructose from food. And this can be used if you have a fructose malabsorption. Um, with this one, these are also capsules, so you can also easily just twist them open. And it's also very good to know that the digestive enzymes always work directly. So it's very important you take them directly with the meal or directly with the food. Some people sometimes ask, can I take them and then wait half an hour? I won't advise that because it's really important. The enzyme needs to be mixed with the food and go to the digestion at the same time. So we often say they work about 45 minutes. So if you have taken the enzyme and you eat something after those 45 minutes, you need to take a capsule again. So, for example, if you have a three-course dinner and you need the capsules at the entree, but also like at the dessert, you probably need to take them again. That's good to know. And with fructase, we recommend taking 1 to 3 capsules with the meal. And if you are just figuring out if you have a fructose malabsorption, you can start with 3 capsules. And if you see that it will work, you can perhaps see if 2 are also enough, or perhaps 1. These are suitable for children. Actually, almost all of our products are for children's age 2 years and up, and also vegan, allergen free, and non GMO. Also important to mention.
Especially thank you for adding that, because we're looking at the pie wedge here, and for instance you have that apple there, and a lot of people want to add fruits back into their diet that they haven't been able to tolerate. When you think about babies and kids, I mean, applesauce is like a big baby food.
Yeah. Yes, that's really important. Yeah, that's a good one. So let's go through to the oligosaccharide group, the fructans and the GOS. For this one, we have our product, the Fibractase 1200, and these contain the enzyme alpha galactosidase, which can help you digest the oligosaccharides from foods. This is one we see very often. People very often, I think, you also see people reacting to onion or garlic or leeks or bread. I think that's very common. So in this way, you can use the Fibractase 1200, and this will help you reduce gas and bloating after eating beans, vegetables, and grains, like everything in those groups. And they work actually the same as the one I mentioned before. So you just take 1 to 3 capsules with the meal. Very important to take them directly with the meal. Suitable for children, and also vegan, allergen free, and non GMO.
And I love that you have, just so everyone's clear, I mean, you look at those 2 pie wedges. We know that onion, garlic, and wheat products are huge triggers for a lot of people, but we do have fructans showing up in a lot of vegetables. And then, of course, the galacto oligosaccharides, the GOS in beans and what have you. So the fibractase it covers a lot of area of digestive discomfort for people.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think also with this one, of course, from my background as a dietitian, these are all very healthy foods, of course, very healthy products. So I think it's very important to, at one point, get them back in your diet.
Right.
So you can try using this, for example.
And that's such a strong, it's a nuanced point, but it's a really important point that, for those of us with IBS, we want to eat food, but we don't want to be in discomfort, right? And so we tend to shy away from foods that we know are going to trigger us. But those foods offer a lot of nutritional benefit, because as a dietitian, of course, we're looking for people to have the broadest diet possible. without
Yep.
triggering symptoms. And the enzymes are going to be able to help you eat a broader diet so that you can get the nutrients from those foods that you typically thought of as off limits.
Yeah, and I think that's for me one of the most important things because, as I mentioned before, we need to enjoy food, so that's very important. But it's also very important to have all these different nutrients in your diet because that's the most healthy thing, also for your gut. If you have a very restrictive diet, then it won't do any good for your gut health. So I think that's very important. But it's of course very difficult if you react to all kinds of food. So yeah, I hopefully this will make sense for everyone, and yeah, you can try it and see if it works for you. And I think our product, the Quatrase 10,000, is also a very good one, especially for people who react to multiple FODMAPs or multiple food groups, because this product is actually a mix of the products I mentioned before. So this one will help digest all the FODMAPs except for the polyols, unfortunately, and also contains the enzyme which can help digest sucrose. And we see people often react to sucrose as well. It's good to know that it's called the Quatrase 10,000 now, but we will introduce a new name in the upcoming weeks. It will be called FODMAPs. We thought it was just a better name, makes more sense with this product. And this prevents a restrictive diet, as we mentioned before, by reintroducing more foods into your diet and also a lot of healthy foods. As how to use it, it's just exactly the same as I mentioned before. Take 1 to 3 capsules directly with the meal, suitable for children, vegan, allergen-free, and non-GMO. And
Yeah,
this one,
would you ever layer? Like, if would you take a Quatrase or a FODMAP, and then if lactose is particularly problematic for you, would people ever then add on the lactase enzyme?
yeah, that's a good question. And I think actually, I never hear that from people. And I think that's because the enzymes are quite high dosed. So, for example, 1 capsule of the Quatrase 10,000 contains 10,000 FCC of the lactase
Oh,
enzyme. So that's already a quite high dose. So if you take 2 or 3 capsules of this one, then you have a lot of digestive enzymes, and yeah, that should help.
fantastic.
So I don't hear that often actually. That's a good question. So then we have our product Starchway, and this is not for the FODMAPs, but for other carbohydrates, so for the sucroses and the starch. And it contains 2 digestive enzymes, fructase and glucoamylase. And this one is especially really good to use for people with it should be sucrase isomerase deficiency. So if you miss the digestive enzymes for the sucrose and the starch. And this one is also very important to prevent a restrictive diet, because you can imagine if you need to eliminate sucrose and starch from your diet, then it's quite intense, quite comprehensive. So Starchway is a very good product for this. And also to use, it's super easy. It's just the same as before, 1 to 3 capsules. And also all of these capsules I mentioned are also just easy to twist open. So if you have trouble swallowing or you just don't like to swallow pills, then you can just twist it open and take the powder with your water or with anything else. So I'm quite curious, Didi. I'm not sure if you see in the chat that there are people who have SID.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. I mean, starting at the top, a few people wanted to know what the difference, how do you differentiate your product from other FODMAP specific products that are on the market? Some people
Yeah.
have had success with other products and some have not.
Yeah. I think in this market, it's just good to know that it's a reliable company. So, for example, we have a lot of different products with the digestive enzymes, and we are just with a bunch of dietists who think these are the best products, and we don't want to add any additives, or we want to have like the product as pure as possible and as high dosed as possible. And we see that just really works to helping our clients and to make sure that they are helped and they can just enjoy their food again. And it's also, if you are hesitating between different companies or different brands, I think it's just the best to look at the ingredients. I always tell my clients just to look at the ingredients, and then you'll see what's the difference in dosaging, for example, or are there any additives you don't like. And if you have a question about that, you can always ask us, and we would love to help you with that or explain a bit. So yeah, I think that's what I would advise.
So in the beginning, when you were discussing the fact that we have these enzymes naturally and some of us are deficient, one person wanted to know, well, how do you know you're deficient? Which is an interesting question, because when we think about the FODMAP diet, we're talking about
I'm watching a webinar.
we're talking.
A web.
I'm just going to mute that person. So, we go through the elimination and challenge phase to try and address triggers. But that's a slightly different question and answer than saying, how do we know if we're deficient in a enzyme? So what do you tell people when they say, how do you know if you're deficient in an enzyme?
Yeah, there aren't really tests you can do. Sometimes people do like a breath test or a blood test, but I just think you can find out best with just eating the food. So if you eat foods which are really high in lactose and you have a lot of complaints afterwards, then it's probably lactose. But you can also, if you want to know for sure, you can take the digestive enzyme with the food. And if you don't have any complaints after, then you know for sure it's the lactose, because the enzyme is really specific. It only does one thing. So for example, the lactase enzyme, it can only break down lactose. It can't do anything else. So if you don't react to lactose, it doesn't work. So you can try it out with the enzymes, and then you know for sure. And I would just say try it out with the food and just experiment with that. I think that's the best.
Okay, hold on. Let's see. There were a few more. I mean, some of these are very specific medical questions for specific people. Hold on a second. So one person was saying they're not lactose intolerant, but they have trouble digesting dairy. And I did ask them if they had looked into a casein intolerance, but I don't think they have. But could you talk a little bit about the difference between dairy and lactose? Because I think there is a lot of confusion. A lot of people think they have to give up dairy completely, and that's not necessarily the case.
No, so not all dairy products contain a lot of lactose. So for example, yogurt or Greek yogurt is a bit lower in lactose, so you can switch it up there. Or for example, with the cheeses, like the hard cheeses don't contain a lot of lactose, which when the soft cheeses, they do contain a lot of lactose. So I think in that matter, it's just really looking into the product itself and see, does it contain a lot of lactose or don't it? Because not all dairy are specifically high in lactose. And I think I can imagine that's really hard to see what's the difference there. So for this matter, I always use the Monash app. I think you already mentioned that, Didi. But then you can just search up like the product itself and see, is it high in lactose or not? Can I take it or not? I think that's the best advice I would have for this.
Several people have mentioned they have SIBO and they want to know if these enzymes, if any of your enzymes are going to help them. In particular, one person with SIBO had questions about the starch product.
Yeah, so with SIBO, I'm always very cautious because there's not a lot known yet about SIBO, and we do get these questions a lot, but I only like to give that a straight answer if I know for sure that it will help. So with the digestive enzymes, I'm just not sure because it isn't really researched yet. So we don't see a lot of people with SIBO. Sometimes lately there was someone with SIBO and they will take the Quatrase, and they said, well, it did help a bit, but to be honest, I'm not sure if it really helps or it's just a placebo effect. I just don't know, if I be honest.
There were a couple of questions about either a hypermotility or vice versa. So a couple of people said they have IBSD, they have a hypermotility in the gut. Would the enzymes help at all with that? Would they regulate the digestion?
Well, what the enzymes do is just break down the food. That's like the basic of what an enzyme does. So it won't do anything other than that. So if you have IBSD and hypermotility, but you also do react to the foods, then you can take the enzymes and it will help. But if you don't react to the food, then I'm not sure if it's going to help.
Do you know if the products are covered by HSAs and FSAs? I don't know if you have, I don't know what you call them in your company, in your country. We have um, insurance
Oh, yeah.
sometimes cover.
Yes, they for as I know, they are not covered in the United States, unfortunately.
I don't know what enzo is. Someone says, is the starch enzo helpful for SIBO? Not sure what that is referencing. Does that
Perhaps
mean anything to you?
it doesn't.
Okay. Well, a couple of questions that came in online. Do your enzymes lose effectiveness over time? Or I'm assuming, are there clear timestamps for potency?
Yeah, so you can use them for 45 minutes. I think that's the max. If you take the enzymes with your food, and if you want to eat something again after 45 minutes, you need to take the enzymes again, because they really need to mix properly with the foods. And after those 45 minutes, they won't go through the digestive tract at the same time, so then they won't help. So yeah, they're just really short-term solutions, actually.
The person might have been referencing the shelf-stable nature of them. So in other words, if they bought a bunch today or there was a discount or they got them on sale, are they going to be effective 6 months from
Yeah,
now?
yeah. No, most of them are, we have like they last about 2 years. So if you buy them now, they would probably last until 2027, 2028. Afterwards, they don't go bad or not something like that would happen, but they can lose they can lose how they work a bit. So they would be a bit less effective. So if you have them like 3 years in somewhere in a cabinet, you perhaps need to use 3 capsules if you used 2 capsules a year before. That's it. They would lose a bit of their effect, but you can use them up to 2 years, and a lot of people already use them in that time.
And what would be the optimal way to store them?
It's just room temperature, just dry in a cabinet or anything. You don't have to refrigerate. You can just put them in a closet or anything, and then that's perfect. I think it's also good to know that if you open up the capsule, you can't put them in your like really hot tea or anything. We say up to like 50 degrees. Otherwise, it will hurt the effectiveness of the enzyme.
Okay, 50 Fahrenheit? 50.
Yeah, degrees. I'm not sure what it is in Fahrenheit. But just
Right.
don't put it in like really hot tea when it's boiling. That will be too hot. But if you have your food and if you can eat it, then it will be the right temperature. I think
Okay.
that's the best way.
Now, there are some enzymes on the market that unfortunately have high FODMAP, high FODMAP ingredients. For instance, there's lactase type enzymes on the market that contain mannitol. And one of the questions was, does the mannitol cancel it out? I mean, if you're taking an enzyme for lactase, but you don't have a problem with the polyols, then it's not a problem, right? But if you are looking for a FODMAP free situation, then obviously the mannitol is not a good situation. So I'm assuming that all of your are your digestive enzymes that are focused towards FODMAPs all FODMAP free?
Yes, they are all FODMAP free. Yes. So, and we especially focus on having as less ingredients as possible. So, for example, the Quatrase 10,000, you can see the capsules in the they are just, it's just the only ingredients are the capsules and the digestive enzymes, and then the capsule is full, and that's just it.
Because what kind of fillers, like what would be added that's not the enzyme?
Well, we do in some of the, like for example, the fructase or the fibractase, we need to fill up the capsule. It needs to be filled up properly. And if the digestive enzyme doesn't fill it up enough, then we use calcium carbohydrate. So with calcium carbohydrate, we know it's really, we have never heard of someone who reacts to calcium carbohydrate. So we thought, okay, that's the most safe filler for the capsule.
Okay. So let's see. All right, well, why don't we keep going on with you? I'll just collect some more questions for later.
Yeah, I think this is also a good one to know, when can I actually use those enzymes? As I mentioned, you can use them every day, but of course you don't have to use them every day. And I always like to say it's not a free pass to eat unlimited FODMAPs, because if you still eat a lot of FODMAPs, of course the enzymes will do their work, but yeah, you can't eat like all of these FODMAPs and take one enzyme, then it would probably not work. You need to take, well, 1 to 3 capsules. So of course, always look at what you're eating. But we always say, just, you can use them every day, but focus mainly on eating out. If you go on a vacation, if you're traveling for social events, these are the most of the situations people like to use them. Because what we see in practice, that most of people with food intolerances, they have their own diet, and when they're at home, they can just follow their own diet and everything is fine. But when they need to go to a work event, or they have dinner, or they go on a vacation, then it gets really difficult, to manage their diet with all these events. So in this case, you can use the enzymes, but you can use them every day if you would like. And then we are here with the key takeaways. So I think hopefully you have seen that enzymes are a helpful tool, and of course not a cure. So if you have a food intolerance, you can use an enzyme, but the effect will only last for that meal, and not for the meals after. You need to take the enzymes again. And it's best used alongside FODMAP awareness. So if you know what FODMAPs you react to, then you also know what enzymes you need to take. And personalization is key. So with this, I mean, if you have any questions on which product you need to use, or if you want to have us take a look at your situation, you can always email us or call us, and we are happy to just help you and see what you can use best.
Well, let's just stick with this for a minute. This is so important. So you said best used along FODMAP awareness. So going back to what we said in the beginning, what we're trying to say is the elimination diet is powerful, and the elimination phase of the diet is key. So if you go through the elimination phase and then you go through a structured challenge phase, that is how you are going to determine your triggers. And once you know your triggers, then you can look into the Intoleran brand and you can say, oh, I really do need the Quatrase. I need some support overall. Or lactose was my real issue, or fructans and GOS were my real issue. And so I'm going to choose these products instead. So these things, the diet and the products work in concert together, right?
Yeah.
But as you said, but then personalization is key. And the reason I'm focusing on this is because we've had several people mention that they've been in elimination for longer than a year. And this is not appropriate. This is not nutritionally sound. It's not psychologically sound. And so it appears that you're probably not working with a Monash trained dietitian. One of the things that we see all the time is that doctors are not telling patients upon their diagnosis that this diet was always meant to be undertaken with a trained dietitian. They give people a list or they tell them, go do the FODMAP diet. And the diet is so nuanced and so complex that it's really difficult for people to do on their own. And in addition to that, as I said before, about 36 to 37% of us with IBS, and I'm one of them, will have an additional issue. You know, you might have a histamine issue, you might have a GERD issue, you might have a SIBO issue, and you need the support of a dietitian to understand your unique situation. And that's why asking other people online, well, what worked for you, is like danger zone. But also because they're going to be aware of the tools that are going to be able to help you, like all the intolerant products, and how you can best incorporate them into your life. So a lot of times people are focused on the price. And while you can take them every day, as Iris said, and while they're not going to suppress your own digestive enzyme production, this is another cost, right? That all of us are going to incur. But if you've gone through the diet in a structured way and you've identified the key things that are problematic for you, then you can minimize those foodstuffs at home. When you go out to eat, you can ask questions and maybe avoid dishes that have them in them, or have your Quatrase with you, right? And you can take it and enjoy that dish that has FODMAP content in it. And this is part of the personalization. This is part, because the personalization is not just about the nutrition, it's also the psychology. I mean, so many people give up on the diet or feel hopeless because they feel like they can't eat anything. And that's a huge psychological aspect to the diet. And the enzymes are part of what can help you integrate those foods back into your life. Sorry, I went on a soapbox, Iris.
No, I
Passionate
totally
about it.
I totally agree with you, and I think that's indeed just very important too. I think, yeah, just getting in touch with a dietitian. We always advise, if someone asks us a question, the first question I ask is, do you already have contact with a dietitian, or do you have any help? Because I think also a lot of people, they think they need to do it alone. They need to do the FODMAP diet alone, and they feel very lonely.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not it's a diet for a reason, and a diet, in my opinion, a diet is always temporarily. It's not for long term. So I think that's very important. So I totally agree with you, Didi.
Now, there's a couple other questions. So someone said they have a soy intolerance. Now, those are the words that they used, and they
Okay.
wanted to know if these would help. So we just want to distinguish that there is such a thing as a soy allergy, and if you have a soy allergy and there's an immune system response, this is not what we're talking about. So if you could answer the question about soy, because of course soy contains fructans and GAS, so you can talk about that. But talk a little bit about the difference between allergies and
Yeah.
intolerances and where the enzymes fit in.
Yeah, I think the difference between allergens and intolerance is very important, because if you're allergic to something, then your immune system is involved. So I think that's the most important thing. And if you have an intolerance, it's an enzyme deficiency. You don't make enough of the enzyme, so you will get a lot of bloating and some gut problems. But with an allergy, it's always like an immune system thing. So it won't work if you take digestive enzymes if you are allergic to something. That's very important to know. And we often get this question about soy, and indeed, as you already mentioned, soy, the fructans and the galactans are very common in soy. So if you are sure that it isn't a soy allergy, then you can try to use the Fibractase 1200, because this product contains the enzyme which can help digest the fructans and the galactans, also in soy. But I think the first step is to make sure that it isn't an allergy, and then you can try taking this product.
Someone wanted to know if digestive enzymes can help you if you do not have a colon.
Ooh, that's an interesting question. Well, they should. I'm not sure if I have this question, if I ever had this question before. But that's a good one. And of course, the digestive enzymes, they work in your small intestine. So if everything is intact in your small intestine, that's where they do their work. So if you don't have a colon, but your small intestine is still intact, then they should work. But I would just say if you're able to try it, just try it out. It's with the digestive enzymes, sometimes it's just trial and error. It won't hurt if you use them. If they don't work for you, then you know that. So you can always try and see. It won't cause any side effects or any problems or anything because it just contains one enzyme, and an enzyme can only cut down a specific nutrient into smaller pieces, but it won't harm you or do anything else. So I would say I would always advise to just first talk about it with your doctor or with your dietitian, and if they say try it out, then I would advise just to try it out.
Excellent. Someone wanted to know where the products are manufactured.
So they are manufactured in the Netherlands. So we have our own fabric there. And we have our warehouse in the Netherlands, and we do for the stock in the United States, we do ship a lot of stock at once to the United States, and then we have our warehouse there, and we can ship from there in the United States. They're all fabricated in Europe, in the Netherlands.
We've had several questions about histamine intolerance. I think we're going to have to do a webinar specifically addressing that. And it has come up more and more. I don't know if it's that there's more awareness of it, so people are asking questions, or whether it's actually a growing issue dietarily for people. I mean, do you have any?
Yeah.
Do you have any ideas about that?
Yeah, I think it's just awareness. I think that's the thing. I think a lot of people have histamine intolerance, but just don't know it exists or what it is. And I do have the feeling that people start talking more about histamine. What is histamine, and which foods contain histamine, and also what are the symptoms if you have histamine intolerance. But I would love to give a webinar about histamine intolerance because it's so complex. And
you heard it here, folks. We're gonna hold you to that.
It's so complex, and we see if you have the difference between the FODMAP intolerances. With FODMAPs, it's mostly just digestive problems. But with histamine intolerance, we also get a lot of complaints about a rash or a red skin or migraines, or the complaints are just really diverse. So it's really hard to diagnose a histamine intolerance, and I think that's why a lot of people don't know they have it, because there is no way to diagnose it actually. So that's the thing.
Several people keep asking about polyols. So, what is it that's different about the need for, well, why is it that the polyol enzyme is it more difficult to produce? What is that?
That's a good question. Well, we haven't found an enzyme which can help digest polyols. That's it. So we are still looking for it, because we know a lot of people do react to polyols, but there isn't something that can digest polyols for now. So that's the reason. Actually, we would love to have it, but it just doesn't exist.
But that's interesting. So if you have a human being who digests fructans well, we know what the enzymes are that we have that help us digest the fructans.
Yeah.
But there are people who digest polyols well, but we literally don't know what it is within the human body that helps us do that. Or it's just that we know what it is, but it can't be isolated and made into a product.
Well, I am not sure if I would say for now, I'm not sure if we make an enzyme to help digest polyols, or it should be digested in the small intestine. But I'm actually not sure if we make an enzyme I don't know.
Interesting. Okay.
Really
There's several questions about timing, and basically, Angeline, I don't know when you came in, but we talked about timing in the beginning. So you were saying that they're good for about 45 minutes. So if you're going, let's say you're going to an event that's going to be extended. So you're sitting at a dinner that's going to go for 2 hours, or you're going to a wedding or a big event where you're going to be grazing for hours, or so how do you handle situations like that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I think it's indeed good to know that they work up to 45 minutes. So that's very important. If you take a meal after those 45 minutes, you need to take the capsules again. But in this case, it's also depending on the how big is the meal and what kind of nutrients are in the meal. Because if you have, for example, a small like a small cookie or just anything like that, perhaps you don't need a lot of the enzymes because it's just a small dessert. But if you have like a big plate with your main dish, then you probably need 3 capsules. So it really depends also on what is the food you're eating and of course, what kind of FODMAPs or carbohydrates are you reacting to? That also differentiates. So yeah, it's a bit of a trial and error and just see how it goes. And I think if you would go to an event like this, I would advise to just try it out at home before, just to make sure it works and with what kind of meals does it work. And with a small meal, perhaps you need 1 capsule. With a bigger meal, you need 3 capsules. If you know that kind of things, then it should be easier for you to manage on the event itself.
Okay, Ryan asked, on the topic of not knowing yet whether there's an enzyme to help combat polyols, are there differences in effectiveness between the different types of enzymes? So, hypothetical example, he says the lactose one only takes half a dose of the fructose one. Well, I'm not sure I know what he's asking. I mean, obviously, you've come up, I mean, science is dictated for your brand, for your scientists,
Yeah.
the amount of enzymes that you think are correct to put into the drugs. And like you showed with the lactase, you have 3 different levels, right? Or maybe you consider it 4 different levels because you have the drops. But I don't know if you were here in the beginning, Ryan. I mean, Iris, you were suggesting that taking the largest dose would be the place to start because there's no harm and you're giving yourself the best chance at digesting whatever it is that you're trying to digest. But over time, it's going to be highly personal, right? Like one person could figure out, oh, I only need 1 tablet of the Quatrase, and someone else could find out that they need 3. And the other thing, Ryan, is that, people so focus on the food, right? They're like, I have digestive problems. I'm focusing on the food. And the thing that we know is that since this is a gut-brain access issue, there are non-food issues that are affecting each and every one of us every day, right? So you might say, oh, I love eating a garlicky hamburger, and I figured out that I need 3 Quatrase pills to digest it. But you might have been really stressed out that day, and that was affecting your digestion. And a month from now, you're on vacation, you've been hanging out on the beach all day, you're totally relaxed, and you go to eat that garlicky hamburger, and you find out you only have 1 Quatrase pill left in your bottle, and you take 1 pill and you do fine. And it very well could be because your stress levels were such that your digestion was just going more smoothly. So I do understand your question. It's just that it's highly variable. It's going to be variable person to person, and it's also going to be variable within each person, depending on non-food triggers like hormones and stress and all kinds of things.
Yeah, I totally agree. I have nothing to add on this matter. I totally agree with you. It really differentiates per person, but also the situation. So yeah, sometimes you're a bit more stressed, then sometimes people need more. Sometimes you're a little less stressed and you need less. It's just so different per person. So people, they always tend to ask like, how many do I need to take for this meal, or how many do I need to take for this meal? And I just say it's really hard for me to give that kind of advice, and I can understand you want that kind of advice. Just always take 3 capsules and it will work. But it's just I can't give that kind of advice because it differences per person.
Right. There is one other, I just flipped away from it. Hold on. Let me see if I find this question again.
Yeah, I will have the slides on the questions. So if you have a question,
beautiful.
touch with us, just please send us an email, take a look at our website, call us. We also have WhatsApp. So let us know if you have a question, and we would love to help you.
Okay, so let's do one last question then. Garlic and onion are so problematic for so many people.
Yeah.
And so Kathy says, well, actually, she's asking about garlic and bean. She says, if my main problem is garlic and bean, should I do the fibractase or should I do the FODMAPs, the Quatrase?
That's a good question. And if it's only the beans and the garlic, then it's just mostly the fructans and the galactans. So in this way, the fibractase would be fine. If you also react to lactose or fructose or sucrose, you can use the FODMAPs or the Quatrase. But if it's just the oligosaccharide group, so the beans, the grains, the garlic, the onion, you will be fine with taking the fibractase.
Well, this is fantastic. This has been so helpful. And I think we not only learned a lot about the products, but I think we've learned that a lot of people want to learn more about histamine intolerance and especially how your products might be able to help. So we will definitely follow up on that. And I see maybe we have one more minute. Do countries require enzyme supplements to be regulated? So you are an international company. So how does that get handled from, you're selling all over the world?
Yeah, well, we do need to, we have specific, I'm not sure how to call it actually, like registration and things. They are in Europe, they are in the United States. So our products are registered everywhere. So we know we have the right requirements, and then we can sell them.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. And of course, Iris, thank you so much for your expertise. And all of you who joined, whether you were here on time, had to leave early, came late, whatever, you were registered. So you will be getting a follow-up recording from us. So you'll be able to watch this again at your leisure. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to us at FODMAP Everyday or Iris at Intoleran, and we will follow up with questions as best as we can. It might take us a few days, but we do want to help you all. So thank you so much for joining us here at FODMAP Everyday and Intolerant, and everybody's waving and thanking us. Thank you so much, everybody. Well, you know what? With those enzymes, we can eat more food, and that's what I'm all about. So thank you very much. Bye, everybody.